Hello, healthy minds. This is Njumbi Geshohi. I am a psychoeducator and therapist, and today I want us to talk about some behaviors that ruin relationships. I'm going to just give you 8 of them, just those that could come at the top of my head. And number 1, spending too much time together. And I'm telling you, when people hear this, especially when they're in the lovebird scenario, oh my God, hakuna mtu anaweza sikia. But let me tell you, giving each other space is very healthy so that you're able to create a sense of self. Can you imagine if from Monday to Monday, January to December, year after year, you're always with this person at your beck and call, ukienda wapi, ukienda kuona mabishto wako, ukienda kuona wanani, it gets a bit exhausting and you lack your sense of self because it feels like you cannot make a decision by yourself, you cannot think by your own without really having the other person think for you or maybe tell you what to do, which is very, very dangerous. And over time, you start creating resentment because you feel like this person is not giving you the space that you want so that you can be able to thrive in your own environment. So that one thing can really ruin relationships, in as much as we say that quality time really does help in building the relationships. Number 2 is withholding intimacy. I feel like intimacy over time has been misconstrued to be this boring thing, if you're just intimate by just holding hands and, walking together and spending time together, that is boring. We should just be smashing and that's it. But intimacy is a whole lot more. If you cannot even just hold your partner's hand, mkikamali, you can't even place your hand on their shoulder, on their lap, you cannot hold hands, you cannot kiss, you cannot hug, you cannot be physical with each other, a little bit of PDA, even if you're just by yourself. Kama mtaki kufanya in public, it's one thing, but when you're by yourselves, you can't hold each other, over time you build resentment. And so when that guy akiwa huko nje kidogo ameshikwa kidogo hivi anampata msisimuko, there's no way this guy is thinking again. Anafikiria tu venye, mazee, I have missed out on this. And the moment they just start getting all these two touches, the flatty, you're not flirting with your man. Who do you expect he should be flirting with, So it's those kinds of things. When you withhold intimacy from people, they start looking, or when they get it somewhere else, then they get comfortable with it wherever they're getting it elsewhere. Even for women, the same way. If you're not touching your woman, you're not caring for her, you're not even, just noticing those small things like she made her hair, she did this and that. I'm telling you, akiambiwa tu na mtu mwingine huko, that's how the attention is diverted. And that's a very big thing that can ruin relationships. Number 3 is taking them for granted. And I'm telling you, this one is the shallow lolo, because hakuna kitu inaweza kupia roho kama hii. It's a stage where people are comfortable to thinking that whatever you're doing is something that you ought to be doing and you should be doing. There is nothing I'm so grateful for, like when my partner comes home and is like, oh babe, thank you for doing the dishes. Thank you for also cleaning the house. Thank you for changing the towels, for changing the sheets. Thank you for packing for me when I'm traveling. Thank you for, utter the smallest thing. Thank you. I'm telling you, nothing will uplift you to do that thing the following day like that. Thank you. Just knowing that this person knows that, yes, I take up these chores in this house, but you don't take me for granted. When he pays the bills, thank him. Be like, thank you for paying our rent, for paying our bills, for doing our shopping, for doing this and this. That way you stop taking each other for granted and you won't ruin your relationship. But the moment everyone feels like, siya kazi yake ni kuoshanga vyombo, ama kazi yake ni kufua, ama kazi yake ni kukunja, kazi yake ni kulipa bills, kazi yake ni kunini, then that is where we all go wrong. Number 4 is always putting them first. Let me just tell you, there's no one who's going to pay you for playing the role of a martyr. That things are falling apart in the relationship. Everything that you're doing is negatively impacting the relationship, but you just want to put him first. You don't care as long as he's happy, even if it's not making sense, even if it's not that situation is not logical. Unataka tu kumput first. Let me tell you, it will not work. And also let me add that to number 5, always putting yourself first, because that means you're being selfish. That means you're caring for yourself, whatever only matters for you, as long as it is in your way, as long as everything is working in your advantage. Like you don't care whatever the other person is going to go through. There is nothing like compromise. The moment you're not able to balance the two by knowing up to what level you should put yourself first without being selfish, and up to what level you should put the other person without negatively impacting the relationship, when you're able to get that balance, that's when you'll not ruin the relationships. But the moment it's either you or the other person who is just overly at the top without any sense of logic, definitely you're going to ruin the relationship. Number 6, constant criticism. Oh my goodness. Why patana na wale watu wanaweza criticize everything you're saying, everything you're doing, everything. Yani nika wewe una any knowledge. Wewe kazi yako tu ni uambiwe kenye chochote umefanya wrong, kenye unafanya negative, kenye unafanya hivi. And it gets to a point where when you criticize someone so much, then they prefer to not engage with you. I would rather not be around you, because if then you know everything way better than I'm doing it, then might as well you do it, you know? If you're overly criticizing someone over time, it will get to a point where they'll be like, you know what, since I'm not really doing the best boyfriend duties over here, might as well have another dude do that, or might as well have another chick do that. Then if I'm not enough for you, don't criticize someone so much, because it will ruin that relationship. But if you need to call out some people, because there is a difference between criticizing someone and really calling out people. If you're healthily calling out people, then that is very much advised to keep up relationships healthy. Number 7, lack of communication. I mean, I feel like every one of us has really fallen for this one, because sometimes you just expect people to be angels and just read the atmosphere that things are not right. Or sometimes you are hoping that the way you responded to someone, they should have received it the way you are trying to mean it. Or sometimes you are receiving an information in a different way that the other person was actually intending, and it just causes a lot of conflict. But I feel like when there's good communication, one person is allowed to air their grievances, and the other person is there to acknowledge their faults or explain their part of the story, so that there is this common ground and people can be able to have a conversation. People can have conversation on a level-headed ground, so that kusikuwa na hiyo mzozano ya huyu alisema, this one said, who said. I mean, everything can just be discussed there. Everyone can be acknowledged their feelings, apologies can be made, and people can move on. But unless that is there, then that is very likely to ruin a relationship. Another major one, and the last one, is angrily reacting to feedback. Oh my goodness, let me tell you, when you cannot contain yourself, especially during an argument or a confrontation, I prefer you just keep quiet, because the words that come out of your mouth can never be run after and caught and, be sealed somewhere. Ukishasema vitu zimeshatoka, and sometimes you might say some very hurtful words that might now even break that relationship for good. Hata maybe iko iharibike, lakini now it's done for good. But then you need to also be very rational when you're giving feedback, and also try to put yourself in those shoes and imagine if you were the same person being given that feedback, how would you have taken it? And number 2, instead of reacting, why wouldn't you first acknowledge the feelings of the person that you hurt, regardless of how you feel? Maybe it's not a big deal to tell this person sorry, or you don't see why they acted like that, because to you, you feel like they're overreacting. But then when you're able to acknowledge their feelings, it starts setting the difference between you and any other regular person who would just be like, rather, me, as long as me sioni makosa, then sioni point ya kuapologize. Imagine apologize, so that then after apologizing, when their feelings have been affirmed, then it's easier for them to listen to you and understand why did you do whatever you did. And then over time, you come to a conclusion. Lakini ukireact back to feedback in an angry way, definitely not going to end well. And anyways, that is all for the common behaviors that ruin relationships. And just look into more and let's share in the comment section below. I'll really appreciate. And kama kawaida, I tell you guys, if you are going through a trying situation or a moment that you need someone to talk to, I do offer therapy services. So please do not hesitate to reach out in the DM and kuja pale to chat, and we can be able to schedule some sessions and get you out of that pit. Okay? In the meantime, bye.